I had this idea, and part of it came to me from a very old 1970s movie called Smokey and the Bandit. And I'm sitting in traffic, and there's these service trucks around me, with Jack's Plumbing and the electrical guy, and then there's also this neon billboard that's in front of me that has one of these ones that keeps flashing these pictures on me, and it all kind of gelled into this one thing. I went, hey, what if I was to get a van and have it wrapped with my artwork?
Welcome to the Stark Reflections on Writing and Publishing podcast. There has never been a better time for writers. More information, options, and opportunities are available to you, but navigating these requires insight. Join Mark Leslie Lefebvre as he draws upon more than a quarter century of experience as a writer, a bookseller, and a trusted book industry consultant to explore and reflect on the writing and publishing landscape to help you make informed choices on your writer journey.
Years ago, I was sitting at this hotel bar at the Smarter Artists Summit in Austin, Texas. And this friendly chap with a very stylish hat sat beside me. He introduced himself and his lovely wife, and we started chatting, as you often do at these amazing author events. Now, little did I know when they introduced themselves to me the amazing writing adventure that I was soon going to learn about. Little did I know the boundless generosity of spirit and the constant good humor that would come out of this friendship with Scott and Heather. But during that conference, many shared drinks and meals later. I think one of the first times I ever went for authentic Southern barbecue was with Scott and Heather when we went to lunch one day, and that was a real treat, something I will always cherish. Obviously, not just the barbecue, which is awesome, but the meal and sitting and they got to introduce me to it, and that was the enthusiasm and the grin on Scott's face as he was watching me take my first bites and sort of relishing in that experience, which is kind of like the experience, the joy that he would have knowing that somebody read something of his that they loved, and that was a smile on his face that I always enjoyed. So I got to see Scott and Heather every year at Novelist Inc. in St. Pete, Florida, and I would normally at this time of year, as I'm recording this in the middle of September, I would normally be preparing to go down and spend at least a week down in Florida at St. Pete's at Novelist Inc. And that's usually where I would see them, especially for the last several years. And I'm unable to go to NINC this year. I've canceled all of my trips to the U.S. At least a half dozen or more trips so far have been canceled this year, and I always look forward to NINC because it's not only a great conference, but I get to see amazing people that I sometimes only see once a year, like Scott and Heather. And I thought, it really sucks that I'm not going to be able to see so many people like them this year, but I'll see them next year. I'll see them, September 2021. Unfortunately, I learned that just a few days ago, Scott had a heart attack, and he died. I learned via Heather that he wasn't feeling well, and he went to lay down, and he never got up. It's a reminder of those friendships that you take for granted. Even the acquaintances that you maybe only get the pleasure of hanging out with once a year. And it was kind of funny, but I went, but he just sent me a joke, and that was one of the cool things I really adored about Scott was he would find these funny memes or jokes, or in often cases he would find skeleton related humor or beer related humor because he knew the dad jokes. He knew those are the things that I loved, and I would wake up in the morning because sometime in the middle of the night he would send me something on Facebook Messenger, and I miss those. I know I'm not going to get those anymore from him, but I looked back at several other ones he'd sent me in the last month or two, and that's an interesting thing. But I wanted to share in this episode a couple, like my last video recording that I did with Scott at Novelist Inc. about the awesome book marketing he did with his van, and I'll let that clip explain for itself. And I'm also going to play highlight clip or two from when he was on the Stark Reflections podcast way back in the early days, and it was an episode called "Going Your Own Way" with T.S. Paul. But that being said, I'm going to miss his enthusiasm and his spirit. I'm going to miss his goodwill and the generosity and desire he had to help other authors. It didn't matter. He spent much of his time at the lobby at NINC just chatting with people. He was such a friendly, gregarious guy, just willing to share and bend your ear and share the story of how he did it. Because he did things, remarkable things, where I remember I was still with Kobo 1 year at NINC, and then I'd left about a month and a half or so after that. And I remember him saying, he was exclusive to Amazon with all of his books. And he said, well, I've got this series I'm going to take wide. And he asked for some advice. And so we chatted a bit about it. And then he, I guess when he left NINC that year, he went and made the wide. Now, about a month or so later, I left Kobo, so I didn't have access to data any longer. And I think it was January. I was no longer with Kobo the January, a few months later, and he emailed me and he said, "Oh, Mark, look, I've got my sales at Kobo are X." And I messaged him back and like, Scott, that's impossible. You've only been with Kobo for a couple of months. There's no way your sales are that big already. And I couldn't check it because I didn't have access to the inside sales tool that I used to have. So we got on a video chat and he shared a screenshot with me of his dashboard, and I almost fell over because I was like, nobody grows their sales that fast on Kobo. It's an anomaly. And he did that in so many ways. He didn't have a newsletter, which is the standard marketing. He used a Facebook page to reach and interact with his fans. And so it was interesting that there are things that work and things that a lot of authors do, but he did it his way and shared the stories in the way that he wanted to, built a fan base in a different way, and entertained and amused readers and other authors alike. I'd always looked forward to hearing from him, of course. I remember he and Heather, when he sent me pictures of the house they bought in Florida, and I thought, well, that's cool. That means you're almost guaranteed to always be at NINC then. It's not going to be as long of a drive for you guys. But those little small gestures, like when he would just send me a little update or a joke, were little things, but they were just indicators of the type of guy that he was, because it was his way of connecting and bringing a smile to a friend. And I know he did that with a lot of people, because he was a very thoughtful and generous person with so many of us in the writing community. I can't imagine how his dear wife Heather, how his family and dearest, closest friends feel right now. But I send them all of my deepest, most heartfelt wishes and warmest thoughts and virtual hugs and condolences. There is no replacing Scott Paul. But the good news is people like me and so many others are thankful for the opportunity that we got to know Scott, that we got to smile and laugh and break bread and drink with him and drink from the knowledge and enthusiasm that he shared. We're very fortunate to have him, but he also has left an amazing mark. And I heard from Heather that there are some unpublished works of his, and she's going to continue to run his author career. And I'd love to help in any way I can, because his stories are there. And those stories have entertained and amused and inspired so many readers out there, and they're going to continue. So Scott is going to live in those words he has written, in the hearts and minds of his readers, but also in the cherished memories of so many writers in the indie author community that he touched. Thanks, Scott. As mentioned, here is a audio from a short video that I took in the parking lot at Novelist Inc. A few years ago, right after Scott and Heather had created this amazing van, this marketing van, which was wrapped with marketing stuff. But why not hear it from Scott himself? Mark Leslie Lefebvre here. I'm here in sunny St. Pete, Florida, with T.S. Paul, international best-selling author. Scott, welcome to Stark Reflections.
Thank you. Been here before.
Yeah.
We're all kind of decompressing after a very long week of talking to authors and talking to industry professionals and a few fans who are also authors. And everyone seems to like this thing behind me here.
Yeah, let's take a better look at this.
Yes.
All right.
So this was a project that I threw together. I had this inspiration that why not put book covers on a van and drive it around. So I bought a brand new van. I probably should have bought a used van, but I bought a brand new van. And I decorated it, and it's got science fiction on one side, paranormal on the other. Attracts a lot of attention. I'm not sure if it gets sales, but it attracts a lot of attention. I'm on the highway, people slow down and take pictures of it. I'm parked in a parking lot, people slow down and take pictures of it. It is my personal vehicle. I drive it around every single day. From a writer's standpoint, you can write the van off, you can write the wrap off, you can write all the mileage off. Why would you not do it?
Exactly. And you've also got stock in the van too, right?
Well, yeah. And I keep my books in the van. I keep my signage in the van. I keep anything I use for a book signing in my van. I keep merchandise in the van. I live in a second floor apartment, so it's so much easier to just order the books, throw the books in the back of the van, and not carry them up the stairs. So yeah, it's great. Because it's a commercial vehicle, the seats are very padded, designed for long-term driving. I drove it to Chicago, attracted attention all the way up to Illinois. I live in Tallahassee, Florida, so that was a very long drive, but it was kind of fun. It gave a little exposure, and you know, you're stuck in traffic and people are staring at your book cover in giant van.
Speaking of staring at the book cover, let's take a look. We're going to go to the back of the van. So somebody's behind you in traffic.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll let you lead.
I'll lead this way.
Yes, we'll go this way.
Take a look at the van as we're moving out.
This is the science fiction cover for my science fiction series. So then you go to the back, and you've got the QR code, which takes you to a website, an author page. Not everyone does that. Usually they just snap a picture of the van. But then, you know, about my little stickers and...
But when I took a picture of the van the other day, it actually popped up the website.
Yes, it goes directly to it.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, over here, there's somebody's car, which you can see. So on this side of the van, you've got the Paranormal cover. And this is the cover from Blood on the Moon. I had given my cover to the designers of the wrap people. I had given them a list of books and what I thought was cool, and they said this looked the best, and that's what we went with. And people see the werewolf and kind of go, whoa, what is that? You know,
fantastic.
It's hard to think. They might think I'm part of the FBI, but that's not quite the same thing. And then, you know, it's got all my colors.
That's fantastic. Well, come on back this way so I can just kind of get another view.
Get in the shade.
There we go. Change her up again. And so again, innovative marketing. Now T.S. Paul does some amazing innovative stuff. There's a time of the month if people want to check out your stuff, they can go to your website.
They can go to the website, tspaulbooks.com.
That's cool. Or just scan the back of the van.
Or scan the back of the van, or catch me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. And there's also Fans of the Federal Witch, which is my group on Facebook. You do need approval to get in, but it's just click it.
Awesome.
And I post lots of fun information about the van and about the books and the origin behind the books, and sometimes some really cool history facts and things like that.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with me today.
Thanks, Mark. I
Always
appreciate
great
it.
to see you. And that was us live in a parking lot in Florida, St. Pete, Florida. Well, here are some short clips from episode 13. Yes, lucky episode 13 of the Stark Reflections podcast. It was called Going Your Own Way with T.S. Paul. And here are just some highlight clips. Really good to go back. I just re-listened to the episode. Some great content, some great advice, some going your own way strategies from T.S. Paul. So here following are just a few short clips from that episode so you can satisfy your need to hear T.S. Paul chatting and sharing Right.
When I first started writing in 2016, I was doing free stories once a week. And I, of course, stopped doing that because my books got longer and I was writing a lot more.
So
So,
were you doing the stories on the blog, or were you
yes,
publishing them?
I was doing the stories on the blog.
Okay.
So I had Wilson Wednesday. Wilson was the name of my computer character in my science fiction series.
Right.
So Wilson Wednesday, I would do a free short story every week. So I wrote 45 short stories in 2016.
Wow. Okay.
Every one a week.
Something
So,
about that consistency, right? People knew that to
yes,
come back on Wednesdays and read about Wilson.
yes. So I started bundling them and putting them in anthologies. So I have 2 anthologies from that time period.
Okay.
And then I use the other stories for different things. But I'm kind of doing a twist on that now with my new serial series that I started doing 2 months ago, or a month ago,
And
February.
what's that called?
It's called the Jack Dalton Monster Hunter series.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So how that's working is on the first of the month, I release the new book.
Okay.
And then on the 3rd Wednesday of that month, you can read the current book for free on my website. It's a giant post. So the books have been running about, because they're serials, they've been running at between 8 and 10,000 words.
Okay.
So there's a 10,000 word post on my website.
So wait, hang on a second. You're not posting a downloadable EPUB or
Oh,
MOBI.
good God, no.
You're actually posting the raw text right
Yes.
on the blog, like through Blogspot.
Yes, right on the post. So it's
Okay.
24 hours. You can go to my website. You can read the book. There's a link on there to buy the book if you really want to buy it.
Okay.
And then you can also buy the next book in pre-order. And if there's a previous book, you could do that. Now, book 3 is set to go out April the 1st. Book 2 is which will be on my website tomorrow,
Which would be the 21st
of March.
Right.
And then book 1, which was February's book, is still available, of course, everywhere. It's a wide series, so it's available all the major vendors. The trick with Facebook is just a tiny bit of background for me is that I used to work for Walden Books. So I was a Walden bookstore manager.
You got book selling in your blood like me.
Yeah. So I have some marketing book stuff that's in me. So I knew in my heart when I started doing this that new authors didn't make any money. So I didn't intend to make any money. So I knew that I needed to do social media because, for ebooks, it's hard to advertise that in a general world. How do you do it? You have to do it digitally. Right. So I knew that. So getting Facebook followers from dead zero is almost impossible. However, there's lots of tricks you can do. So one of the things that I did, which was kind of goofy, is once I was able to advertise, because I wasn't able to advertise until I had any money, because at that time I had nothing.
Right.
So I literally borrowed money from my wife and said, I'm taking $50. And she's like, what are you taking $50 for? So I ran a Facebook ad. And so what I did is I posted a picture of my cat. And I pushed it out to people who like cats and science fiction. And then ran it out for a weekend and then another weekend and that kind of thing. So then I let it run for a little bit. And then I pulled it back in. And then I posted an ad for my books to people who like cats and science fiction, because I already had some followers who like cats. So I pushed it out to the cat people.
Okay. And
I started to get some likes on my page. And then it just snowballed. But it did take 2 years to do this. But the first year, I think I had, call it 1,000 followers, 1,500 followers by the time.
Still nothing to laugh at.
No. So, every now and then I do post cat videos or pictures of my own cat because I still have those cat people following me.
And you got to keep the cat people satisfied.
I got to keep the cat people happy. What's happening, for giving real numbers is the Athena Lee series is making on Amazon about $2,500 to $3,000 per month. and that's in sales, not in KU, because there isn't
That's
any KU.
that's
However,
just
there's
raw sales. Okay.
there is a few little, and I find it amusing. There is little trickles of KU that we'll see, like 50 book reads here and 20 reads here,
Really?
and that's
Wow.
because what happens is
They
is
grabbed it
people
before.
grabbed it a long time ago,
Oh, okay.
and they never read it, or they never finished reading it, or whatever.
Oh, wow.
So
It's like a ghost effect of Kindle
it
Unlimited.
is, and I'll look and I'll see a page read. I'll go, okay,
Perfect
this
for
is
paranormal, right?
yeah, it's just kind of weird. So, I'm still getting trickles, but we're talking $1. It's not like it's big money. So it's like
Right.
$1.
So
So,
hang on. So it's 2000. I just want to come back to it because I need to conceptualize this. How many books roughly is that? So it's 2,500 to 3,000 US a month from Kindle only. On
yes,
how many titles? Is roughly
18.
18 titles. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, there's 18 in that series. Now, so
Okay.
18 titles. So after I went wide, January was kind of sucky. I think I made, I think it was like $200 on Kobo, which people would say, "Oh, that's great for the first month." Yes, it was pretty
For
good
Kobo, for your first month, that is actually pretty stellar.
Yeah, and then D2D was nothing. It was like $6 or something like that.
Right.
And we don't look at Smashwords. To be truthful, I don't look at Smashwords. I haven't been on there in a while. It's nothing. So February though, I did grand, so $1,000 on Kobo. So the way I look at it is, I'm
Wow.
still making 2,500 to
That's
3,000.
almost half or a third of what you're making on Amazon,
Yes,
which is pretty
so
spectacular.
The Kobo is just money on the table
Right.
that I'm picking up, and so far for March, I just looked at it. It was $700. So
And we're only on the 20th
We're
today,
only on
so
the
it looks
20th.
like you're tracking to do 1,000 again.
yes.
As I mentioned, those were just some of the highlights of T.S. Paul from episode 13 of the Stark Reflections podcast. I'll have a link to that episode in the show notes, as well as a link to the video, so you can actually take a look at that awesome van, the guerrilla marketing that I just so adored that he did. And I hope you got some wonderful words of wisdom, and if you were an author who knew Scott in any way, shape, or form through the community, a chance to hear his voice again, and to reap some of the benefit of his wisdom, or just feel good to hear his voice again. In any case, thoughts go out to Scott's dearest friends and his family at this time of loss, and a thank you to Scott for so much of what he's done to help other authors in the indie author community. Scott, you will live on through those words you've shared and through the wisdom that you've relayed to so many of your friends in the writing community. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for listening to the Stark Reflections podcast. You can find show notes for each episode at starkreflections.ca.
The music for this podcast, Laser Groove, was composed and produced by Kevin MacLeod. Check out more of Kevin's great music at incomptech.com.